There were battlefields where no doctors were coming, no supplies, no morphine, nothing, just the earth, and whatever knowledge the men around them still carried. So what did they do? They looked for a plant. Not just any plant, a specific one that grew low to the ground, in abandoned lots, along the edges of roads. So common that most people walk past it every single day without noticing. They would crush its leaves, press them into open wounds, and it worked. Not because anyone had run a clinical trial, but because it had worked before, because someone's grandmother had done the same thing, and her grandmother before that, and before that too. What fascinates me about this story isn't the plant itself, it's the pattern, because the same knowledge appears across cultures that had no contact with each other. Same plant, same use, different continents. That's not coincidence. That's observation accumulated over millennia. The plant most consistently documented in this context is called Achillea millefolium. Common name, yarrow. The scientific name is not accidental. It comes from Achilles. According to Greek tradition, the hero used it to treat the wounds of his soldiers during the Trojan War. Now, that may be myth, but what isn't myth is this. By the time the Greeks were writing about medicine, yarrow was already so embedded in wound care that it was named after a warrior. And it didn't stop with the Greeks. Native American peoples used the same plant for wounds and skin infections. European herbalists recommended it for the same. Classical Chinese medicine documented it for the same. Cultures with no known contact with each other. Same plant, same application. That kind of independent convergence is rare. And when it happens, there's usually one simple reason. It worked. Modern science has since confirmed what those people already knew. Yarrow contains compounds associated with hemostasis, the process the body uses to stop bleeding. It also contains flavonoids and volatile oils with anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. It won't cure a serious infection. But on a battlefield, with absolutely nothing else available, creating even slightly better conditions for healing could be the difference between living and not. But yarrow wasn't alone. There was another plant, one that literally followed humans across the world. You've probably stepped on it today or yesterday. It grows in the cracks of sidewalks, along the edges of lawns, anywhere the soil has been disturbed. Its scientific name is Plantago major. Most people know it simply as broadleaf plantain. Some Native American peoples called it the white man's footprint, because it appeared everywhere European settlers went. Its seeds traveled in the mud on boots, in the soil used as ballast on ships. That history of spread reveals something important about how this knowledge moved. People didn't carry the plant by accident. They carried it because they used it. Because it worked. Leaves were crushed and applied to wounds, insect stings, burns, sometimes chewed and pressed directly onto the skin. Simple, immediate, available. Modern analysis identified compounds like aucubin and allantoin. Allantoin, specifically, is associated with cell proliferation and tissue repair. It's found today in commercial skin care and wound care products. It wasn't invented. It was discovered. In a plant people had already been using for more than 2,000 years. And here's the question that stays with me. It's not whether modern medicine is better. In almost every clinical scenario, it is. Penicillin does things no plant poultice ever could. That's not the point. The question is something else. What was lost along the way? When pharmaceutical medicine industrialized in the 20th century, herbal knowledge wasn't examined and then discarded. It was simply left behind, before it was fully understood. before it was fully tested, pushed to the margins for reasons that had as much to do with economics and institutional consolidation as with scientific merit. St. John's wort tells that story from a different angle. For centuries, it was used for anxiety, nerve pain, and depression. Then it was dismissed as folk superstition, until it wasn't. Later research identified compounds like hypericin and hyperforin, which measurably affect neurotransmitter activity. The plant did what people said it did. The explanation just came later. Calendula follows the same pattern, used in wound care during the American Civil War, especially where supplies were scarce. Not anyone's first choice who had alternatives. It was simply what was there. Later, research identified compounds with anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. Today, it's used in ointments and skincare products across Europe and beyond. The pattern repeats. A plant used for centuries, dismissed, rediscovered by science. The knowledge came first. The explanation came after. What strikes me most is this. These plants are still there. Yarrow still grows in fields and along roadsides. Broadleaf plantain still appears in the cracks of sidewalks. Calendula still grows in gardens around the world. The same compounds, the same properties. The world around us hasn't changed. What changed was our attention to it. That's what this channel is about. Not as an alternative to modern medicine, but as a layer of knowledge that existed for millennia that most of us were simply never given access to. The kind of knowledge that used to be ordinary and is now worth learning again. If this kind of story resonates with you, this is what the Living Archive is here to do. Every video is one more piece of that picture. Subscribe if you want to keep building it. And if you want to go deeper, the plants, the compounds, the documented history behind each one. There's a guide linked below. It's not a self-medication manual. It's natural history. Curiosity. The world around you. Explained. Some knowledge was never lost. It was simply no longer noticed.